Raghu Kiran. Welcome to Future of Our People. It's a podcast series dedicated to leaders who are shaping the future of work. Today, we are pleased to join by Mr. Sreedhar Suragouni, a dynamic business transformation leader with over 25 years of global experience in driving profitability, digital innovation, and operational excellence. As the Chief Operations and Technology Officer at Sukun Insurance, the UAE's largest insurer, he has spearheaded award-winning digital strategies, boosted efficiency, and delivered exponential business growth. From tripling revenues to leading billion-dollar transformations, Mr. Sreedhar has a proven track record of making technology a true business enabler. Today, we're going to explore the real-world decisions, challenges, and lessons that have shaped Mr. Sreedhar's leadership journey. Sreedhar, it's great to have you with us.
Thank you, Kiran. Thank you for having me. Hope we can try to bring out some meaningful data points for the new leaders to learn and grow from. Thank you.
Absolutely, Sreedhar. And I think your experience and your background is nothing but inspirational. And hopefully today, as you rightly said, we're going to explore some of your journey as well. So, Sreedhar, and as often great leaders just don't focus on what they do, as you know, right? They understand why they do it. So, purpose-driven leadership always separates those who simply manage from those who inspire. So let's begin by understanding the core of your leadership philosophy. Please help us understand what drives you. After over 25 years in technology and leadership, what has kept you motivated every day?
To be honest, Kiran, it's almost 3 decades now. This year I finished my 30th year in the industry. But again, there's no book which defines what is leadership, or there's no book which trains how to be a good leader. Let us be honest, leadership is something which you learn and evolve over the years. And in that journey, you would have many people who would act as your mentors, your guide, and your true confidants with whom you learn and grow together. So my belief is there is nothing called a leader who is on his own. No, a leader is not on his own. Leader is always part of a team, and team makes him a better leader. And team makes him to become a leader whom they would look up to. So in my journey of almost 3 decades of tech, I would say 3 things which always motivated me, and 3 things which always made me get out of bed and look forward to the day. The first thing is, in technology, we as leaders are thrown complex problems. In the eyes of a business, it may be a very small change, but when you overlay that with technological challenges and technological interdependencies, that is not that simple. But again, the job of technological leadership is to ensure that the complex problem, what is in your eyes as a complex problem, how to break it down to simpler problems for the business and make them understand what complexity you are trying to fix, and ensure that you stand next to them and deliver that outcome. That is where you would get the maximum satisfaction and maximum motivation to look for the next one, which is more rewarding. So for me, one of the biggest motivation is always solving that complex problem, but with impact on your business, on your customer experience, on your profitability. So that's number one. And all my years of working with young budding leaders, what I've learned is, without your knowledge, there are many eyes which are looking at you. They are watching you. They are watching you how you speak. They are watching you how you conduct in some complex negotiations. They are watching you how you are tackling a severity 1, which is having a bearing on your business and reputation. They are watching you when regulators are trying to mandate us to deliver something which is very, very important from a regulation perspective, but very complex from your technological landscape perspective. So what I've learned is, all these emerging leaders are always looking at you. They want to mimic you. And in that process, I loved mentoring and developing the next generation. So without my knowledge, I have seen people who have been following me. And the blessing I had in my previous role is there's a continuity. I worked almost 20 plus years in one organization. There's a continuity. There are people, there are managers, there are leaders with whom you've been working for 20, 25 years. So automatically, without your knowledge, you have a lot of people who are following you. There are a lot of people who are watching you. And then what is so rewarding for you is when this emerging talent who has followed you, who have looked up to you, when they opt to come and work for you, trusting you, changing the geographies, uprooting their families, that is what they are placing as a trust on you. That means you made some difference on them. So my belief always is if you can share your knowledge, guide this emerging talent, ensure these younger professionals don't fall into pitfalls and they professionally grow and they develop into strong leaders, what else do you want? I mean, these are the people who would take the next generation to the next level. So I was fortunate in my journey. I have had an opportunity to work with many young leaders, and today some of them are still with me, following me the continents. And I feel so proud and happy to see them growing into great leaders. And I want this next generation to take the flag forward. So that's another biggest motivation I have as a leader. And last but not the least, in technology, we call every 5 years is generation. Whether you like it or not, when I started my career 30 years back, when you build a product, it is almost the shelf life of a product was 30 years, 20 years. I still remember when I was working in UK, there is a product called X, which goes with my date of birth as 72, X72 as a platform name, and still it is used after 50 plus years. So what I mean by that is technology is never static, and you have to adapt to that as a leader. And in my career of 30 plus years now, I have seen 6 technological generations, I would call, whether you call it as mainframe, mid-range, your open source, or your GUIs, or whether you call it your SaaS products, your PaaS products. Now we are seeing entirely a different paradigm shift with our famous artificial intelligence looking at us. So again, the third thing which always encouraged me is the continuous learning and adaptation to this technological changes. And more importantly, you have to always remain relevant. And you should leverage not only the new technology to drive innovation, but you should also fuel long-term passion in your teams so that they also can learn and grow with you. I think it's a long answer, but I believe these are the 3 top things which have kept me going for 30 years. I don't know how much more steam is left in me, but I can tell you honestly, every day I wake up to go and solve the problem, to groom the next leader, and also to adapt to the new technology.
Now, this is pretty impressive, Sreedhar, and I think you kept it very simple and crisp and concise way in terms of solving complex business problems, to mentoring next generation leaders, to keep adaptive on continuous learning on the latest technologies that is kind of disruptive anyways. But I would love to delve into each of these things, but let's explore more on the technology aspect. Say every few years, Sreedhar, the new technology is labeled as a game changer, but I would love to understand how do you separate this real value from hype when making some technology decisions? But because I could imagine, because there's so many technologies, right? It's always, I mean, even if you look at 10 years or 20 years, but you as a leader, you always have to make sure that you choose the right technology that fits the business purpose. But how do you went about in terms of decision making, and really the technology investment that you made had an impact?
People don't recruit leaders just to say yes to everything. Okay, they recruit leaders because they believe the leader can bring the right value to the table, and you get a seat at the table for that reason. So it is a double-edged sword where you may be in a tricky board meeting, you may be in a very tricky strategy meeting with your consultants, or you can be in a very, very, very important meeting with your business leadership team talking about how to address some profitability or customer experience. The situation can be any of these things. The job of a real leader is to really separate the real value from hype. And it has to come down to how this relentless focus will translate into profitable growth, customer experience, and market leadership. So for me, these are the 3 guiding principles I always followed, whether it's a boardroom, whether it's a strategic meeting, whether it's at a conference where I'm thrown at some questions like this. So I always felt we should ask 3 questions as a leader to keep the reality from hype. The first question is, whatever I'm going to do, will this have a bearing on the business growth or efficiency? So example, the investment I'm making, is it going to translate into a growth for me? It is going to translate into a better experience for my customers? Or is this going to give me the agility and the speed to market so that I can keep my competition at a far distance for them to catch up with me in the years to come? So that's the first thing which I always ask myself. And again, the second thing is, whatever I'm building, is it for today or is it for tomorrow? What I mean by that? It's very easy to bring a lot of technology to your landscape which are monolithic, wherein they will become in itself a mountain to maintain. Rather, if you are a true leader, all there are buzzwords. I don't want to go into composable architecture, this and that. These are all buzzwords. But as a leader, you should look at it from a lens of, is this going to be sustainable? So I always had one mantra which I always followed throughout my journeys, wherever I was across the continents. Can I build once and deploy many? That is where the power is. So don't try to build once and every year change it. No. You should have a capability to define a sustainable technological roadmap aligning to the future, at the same time leveraging your investment year on year. That is where the power of investment and right investment come. Third one, which I always say, is what differentiation I'm creating with this investment. How real is that differentiation? It's not a hype. Yes, I can have a fantastic product which can differentiate me in a market for 6 months. But that is not the differentiation. Differentiation should be such that for your competition to catch up, they have to literally relook at their entire tech stack or entire transformation roadmap. By the time they do that, you have passed the station. And for them to catch your train, it may take years. And that is what I would look for. I would look for a solution which gives me a differentiation, not only for that particular moment, but which gives me that head start against competition. So for them to catch up with my solutioning, I'm at least 2 years far ahead of them. So I have that differentiation on my side. Yeah, I mean, there's no right or wrong answer for this kind of questions. But again, I go back to the first statement. You as a leader are paid to say what is not right, not to accept whatever ABC wants. Then you are not a leader, you will become a follower.
This is pretty impressive, Sreedhar. In fact, I'm enjoying this conversation because, as you rightly pointed, yes, there is no right and wrong, but every leader has a distinct methodology or guiding principles they always follow in terms of how do you go about in taking a decision. But what I love about in terms of your approach and clarity that I got out from this is, and there's always hype from a technology perspective as well, but the clarity of thoughts in terms of having understood their business needs and how the technology as an enabler supporting in terms of business growth or efficiency or enhancing customer experience, or having that agility give you a differentiated, scalable platform for you to scale your business. That approach, asking those right questions. And in fact, I loved about your quotation in terms of can I build one and deploy many? I mean, that's the mindset of scaling businesses, right? Demonstrate leadership before they're officially in charge, because you've rightly mentioned about in terms of knowledge transferring and mentoring. How do leaders go about in ensuring that despite they don't have titles, they do the ownership and demonstrate those leadership qualities and deliver those business outcomes?
Okay, and no university can give the tools and techniques to a leader to learn and try to adopt and again grow from there. But there is no book and there is no one size which fits all, because we are all natural. Yeah. Each one of us bring our own capabilities to the table and each one of us are different. Okay. So in my journey, I think I was so blessed during my early days of my career. My passion was rubbing on my team, and I was never settling for less. So some of my senior managers have seen from a distance that passion rubbing on my team, and the outcomes were there to witness year after year. So in my previous organization, I was one of the youngest person who was made manager, and I was actually debating with my manager at that time, or a leader who have identified that in me. And I said, no, I want to go down the technology path. I have more technology in me. I don't want to become a manager or a leader. But he convinced me. He said, being a leader would give you a double-edged sword, wherein you can also leverage your technological strength. At the same time, you can take the team along and try to achieve better results, combining your leadership also into it. I was not convinced at that point in time, but to answer your question, that is where these leaders became leaders. They know how to identify the budding talent. They know how to identify who has what in them. So sometimes you don't know that. You need a leader to identify that skill in you. And then you are thrown into the pond, lake, ocean, whatever you call, where you have to find your way out. So I was fortunate enough in my previous organization, I have never done a similar job every 3 years. Every 3 years, I had a challenge in front of me, testing my skills and testing my, I would say, the overall effort I have to spend. But again, while I have burned a lot of midnight oil, all this were aligning to my passion to deliver something which I can look back and reflect upon. So to answer your question, I was fortunate. People, the right leaders, right mentors whom I have worked with, they have identified the potential in me, and they made me realize my potential. And there were multiple situations where I have applied them and pulled out from crisis again and again. So if you want me to give one example, this is very, very tough situation. We're working on a very big multi-million dollar opportunity. And for that opportunity, the biggest challenge was how to take over the entire IT from the incumbents. It can be the applications, or it can be the infrastructure, it can be the entire end-to-end data center management to BCPTR. We have worked on the business case hand in hand with our CEO and the CEO of the other organization. But then we hit the reality when we have to transition that, wherein the incumbent had a different view. And they were throwing spanner after spanner into the wheel. They were not allowing us to move forward. And if we don't cut over from them, our entire business case will fall. So I took out, I don't know whether you call it as a leaf of the book or something which you put your neck out. Since it was UK, I would say I was putting my neck out. And I told my CEO, trust in me, I know how to solve this problem. But again, yes, this is a very high stake, high impact takeover. But if you can trust me, I know how to pull this off. And you don't believe me, my leader believed in me. And then I had a conversation with the CEO of another organization. With two CEOs, I was telling them, first I am starting with the word high risk, high stake. So any CEO would say, oh, high risk, high stake. No, we are not going there. It would have an impact on reputation. It would have an impact on the overall regulatory challenges. But again, I have presented to them why I believe in what I am saying. And I presented the plan. I got there okay. It demanded me to build a data center in 2 months and to transition some of the legacy, which was not even restarted for years. And if I look back, not only we have completed the transition seamlessly, that is one opportunity which I had in my life. I stuck to my conviction and delivered that outcome. And that actually have translated into phenomenal success for my previous organization, where it became a reference case study on which we have moved from multi-million to multi-billion deals. And that stays with me for life because it was not easy. And even that CEO from the other side, he or she was so impressed. During my last day of my career there, I have a brilliant email from them to remind me what I have done and how I have kept my promise and retained my trust from them. And they said they would look to work with me again and again. So again, this is an example where as a leader, you will get few opportunities in your life which you have to grab with both hands and try to deliver not only the outcome, but deliver that in such a fashion it would have a bearing not only on your manager to gain further confidence on you, but that should translate into bigger revenue for your company, it should become a case study by itself, and you will become a reference. So if I look back, while I have multiple opportunities like this in my life, this would stand out for me. And the people who worked with me on this, which is almost 18 years back, they're still in touch with me. They reach out to me on LinkedIn whenever they hit any problem, because they still believe I can guide them, groom them, and they still believe I am their manager. I think which is a very heartening thing to think about and to be witnessing.
This is quite pretty impressive, Sridhar. In fact, that's the hallmark of a great leader when they see challenges and opportunities for growth. Make yourself comfortable in a discomforting situation and see that as an opportunity. And it's clearly evident how you saw that and converted multi-million to $1 billion opportunity as well. That's pretty impressive. In fact, one of the challenges that, again, I would love to get your inputs as well, Sridhar, as we all know that change is constant and not everyone embraces it. Right? People like yourself, you've embraced it, you've seen that as an opportunities and you've grown, right? But what advice you would give to leaders in terms of how do you get your teams to see change as an opportunity rather than as a disruption? This is quite often that I come across as a challenge whenever I'm discussing or wherever I'm in discussions with leaders, right? Any insights or inputs that you would give in terms of what could they do differently, or what advice you would give to them to see to get teams to see change as an opportunity rather than disruption?
Every situation demands a different style of leadership. So if you are in a company of all talented people, then your job there is more to define the roadmap and strategy and align them to that roadmap and guide them where it is required. But you would not be blessed. You would never get that all on a platter. There can be situations for you where you are thrown into a problem, and that problem may be so complex. Starting with, you have to find the right team. You have to create the team. So you have to stand up the team. So every situation is different, Kiran. So what I've learned is, I was fortunate enough, I had opportunities to take up a team which is a talented team and lead them and deliver the result. I had an opportunity to stand up team from ground zero. Again, it's called clean canvas, where you are going to build your own dream team, but very rarely you would get that kind of an opportunity. And I had a combination of both, where I had some in-house team, and then I have to bring in some new talent, and then ensure that they both work alongside to deliver the outcome I want. See, there are 3-4 things which I have done all my life. One, I always picked people whom I believe they have the right attitude. Because if the attitude is there, it is half done. You don't need to be from Ivy League. You don't need to be from Oxford and Cambridge. If you have the right attitude and if you have the right appreciation to what you have to deliver, it is half done. Number 2, when I pick my team, I do a lot of homework. Once I pick my team, I will empower them wherein I would not look over their shoulders. I give them that space, but at the same time, they always know that they have my back. So, but I again groom them to say that you should know when to come to me. Number 3, ensure that you not only build your leadership team, you build a cohesive team which is at all layers believe in your vision. So I normally believe in having that conversations with the entire team through town halls to explain them why we are doing what and what are we going to expect as a return from it and how they all are going to be part of that success.
Yep.
And this I have done many a times in my career, and trust me, if you get your team on your side from day one, you can do wonders. This I have told in many forums. It is nothing but in your management terms called organization change management, OCM, but I would call it as different. Take your team along with you and make them part of the success, and you will see the end result. And trust me, decades after decades, the last 3 decades, I have seen this. If your team is on your side, if you create that one team approach, you would never go wrong.
This is pretty impressive. In fact, this is classic, right, Sreedhar, in terms of having that, and you always say that leader has to enroll and inspire people by clearly communicating the vision, and that's where you get the team as well to work for you in terms of them seeing the bigger picture as well. One habit that you diligently followed all through life that has shaped you who you are today?
I always kept my environment very family oriented. I call them as a family, extended family. I never treat them like a team. So I had this habit which I have been following for many decades now. Wherever I was, whether I was in UK or America or India or now in Dubai, I will make it a point in a day. I spend at least 15 minutes impromptu with my team on the floor. I just walk around. I just put my hand around their shoulder and ask how it is going. I break that hierarchy to a level they will feel at ease with me. They can speak to me about the game they played last weekend. They can talk to me about what happened with their daughter or a son or at the dinner table the previous night. I make it so easy for them so they can connect with me. And that is one of my way of breaking that hierarchy and barrier, and that actually helped me to understand more about them. And some of these people whom I interact on the floor, since it's impromptu and it's not linked to any day job or it's not linked to any project, it's always personal. I'll make the environment light. I laugh with them. I crack some jokes with them. And not only them, when I'm doing that, I see a lot of people around them. They just participate in it. And the 5 minutes, trust me, is going to give me phenomenal energy for the rest of my day. Because this is absolutely impromptu. And this is something which I have done years after years. And I have maintained this. I may have a severity of one problem going on, or I may have a serious board meeting next day which I have to prepare. But nothing will stop me doing this routine in a day. I go around, I make my team comfortable, I laugh with them, and I come back fully refreshed. And trust me, my productivity will go super high because that 5-10 minutes of impromptu conversations with my team and that small laughter we had, this is something which I cherish, and that is one of the reasons I want to be in the office every day. I want to be with my team. I want to make them feel that I am with them, and I want them to share with me anything and everything. So the trust they place on me is there, and they have my back, not only for professional and career growth, but for anything else. And trust me, this actually made me make friends for life across the years, across the world, wherein still they treat me as part of their extended family. And that is something which I believe is a blessing. And I would encourage all the leaders to step out of that zone and to create that environment where hierarchy is only for decision making. Hierarchy should not be for conversations. You are a boss or you are a leader, whatever you want to call, only in that room when you are performing your role. When you step out of your room, when you step out of your office, we're all friends and it's an extended family. Give that comfort to them, and trust me, you would get to witness significant results as a team.
More of on a personal oriented, I want to always understand from a leader's best practice. If there's any one advice that you think you would give to younger version of yourself, what advice you would give?
See, to be honest, I come from a background of a large conglomerate in the world, and wherein I had help at my disposal across the globe because of the size of the company I was working for. I think maybe during my earlier days of management, I had that comfort of that particular muscle of that corporate world available for me. Maybe that's why maybe I would have not felt that heat way back 20-25 years back. But for the young leaders now, I can tell you the world has moved very fast. Now, with all this latest technologies and all, the shelf life of a project is not more than 6 months. It's no more 2 years, no more 3 years, where you had the benefit of the entire corporate world behind you. It can be your legal team, it can be your finance team, it can be your architectural team, it can be the list is long. That is how the programs were delivered 2 to 3 decades back, where it was a big team. But now you are left alone. You have to believe in your solutioning, and you have to make the difference in weeks, not years. So the young leaders, I would say, have a tough challenge in their hands, whether you call it as a minimal viable product or whether you call it as an agile product, whether you call it as an agile delivery. Now there is no patience for the business to wait for you to deliver something in months and years. They want that to be in weeks. The cycle has moved from years to weeks. So I personally think that young leaders now have to be so agile, not only in their solutioning and their thinking, but in the way they handle the business, in the way they set the expectations. If you don't set the right expectations, then you not only fail, but also you will go into a zone where you will start believing in yourself. So my suggestion to the young leaders is you have to be so talented to not only acquire the right skills, adopt to the right technological requirements, but also learn the art of expectation management. That is very key. Whether you are speaking to your board member, whether you are speaking to your executive committee member, whether you are speaking to your leadership team, wherever you go, your opportunity for you is to break the problem into simpler, small problems and explain to business in non-technical language, saying that what he or she can expect from this particular deliverable. At the same time, ensure that you maintain that expectation from go to the day you deliver and celebrate. So that is going to be a tricky one because the patience levels of business is going down because of the competitive pressure. The patience levels of the board is going down. They're not going to wait for 1 year to witness your result. They want to see incrementals. So again, I don't know whether I have given the right tools or techniques, but I believe if the young leaders have to succeed, they should know how to manage the expectations at all levels.
I think it does make sense, Sreedhar. Thank you for that as well. In a way, as you rightly pointed, breaking that problem into a simpler and keeping in terms of business context, and also your tip around being agile, which again is quite challenging as well, right? I know the technology is moving so fast, and there's no one particular skill that you could learn and you could master, and then you could do it because this keeps changing as well. And again, going back to what you said, the continuous learning is what is going to keep afloat and also deliver to the business outcomes.
I mean, like, look at this. Last 3 years, the amount of changes we have gone through in the technological space. Exactly 3-4 years back, everything was blockchain.
Yeah.
After that came machine learning, robotic automations. Now suddenly we kicked all of them out of our window and we are saying it's generative AI. It is one size fits all. It can solve any problem. It can be a pricing problem. It can be your contact center problem. It can be your... I mean, like, the list is long. But again, we are yet to witness the real results out of it. But you don't have time to explain. People are saying, show me the result. That's going to be the fun for the next, I would say, next 5 years.
What's the legacy you hope to leave behind as a leader? What do you like to see yourself? Where do you like to see yourself in the next 2-3 years remembered?
Again, you're absolutely right. Every leader leaves some legacy. But I have had an opportunity to work with some great leaders. Some of them are at the topmost position in Tata Sons now. Yeah. Again, the legacy for you, what you can create is, if I look back in my 30 plus years now, I would have managed directly or indirectly more than 25,000 people. And some of these people whom I have managed almost 29, 30 years back still reach out to me on my LinkedIn when I post something, still reach out to me personally, still reminds me what they have learned from me or what they have achieved working alongside with me. So refreshing. And just one simple anecdote for you. Recently I was interacting with somebody on the LinkedIn, and this gentleman has worked with me in 2002. And he was reminding me, still he has very good positive memories of working with me and delivering some outcomes which were so positive. And after 23 years, he's reminding me, I was so touched. I said, you're taking me back to 2002. So to answer your question, I don't know how to define what legacy I would leave, but I can tell you, every activity I have delivered or worked, every result I have delivered, all the team who are part of the journey, if they can remember that, and from that, if they would have learned something and if they would have taken that in their journeys and succeeded, and when they come back and tell me, you know what, this is a problem which was thrown at me, and I tried adopting some of your techniques and it worked wonders for me. I think what else I want? That would be the day I would say, good, I have done my bit to groom the next generation. At that day, I can say proudly, maybe I left some legacy behind me where people are taking it forward. That's how I would say. I want to be remembered as somebody who was a friend, mentor, guide. At the same time, they can talk to me on anything, not only work, personal things. And I can tell you, I have made friends for life. And some of these people started their journeys as trainees with me, and they are in senior most positions today. But still, what they could crack with me as a joke when they joined me as a trainee, and even today, I have always maintained that. I always gave them space. I never brought hierarchy into my relationship with my team. Always I maintained we are all one family, and I encouraged them to speak to me on anything. And my back was always there for them, whether it is for professional reasons or personal reasons. I think that is what a leader should do. Create that environment, create that culture. And trust me, once you do that, when you look back, you may have some emails or texts coming from somebody whom you managed 30 years back also. And I wish and I pray I can continue this and groom many more in my years to come. And to answer your final question, what I want to do in 2 to 3 years from now, maybe I will see how much of steam is left in me, and I will try to still solve complex problems working with young generation. But again, I personally want to be grooming the next generation to achieve better results in an advisory roles as a coach, as a mentor, wherein when I hang up my boots, I don't want to do my 9 to 5, but I want to be available for all my team who worked with me over the years. At the same time, for the next generation, CX, to be their sounding board and to support them in their success. Because I see that is one area where the young generation, because of startup culture, because of the unicorn culture, they are becoming success, but they don't know how to sustain. I think if I can do my bit in holding their hands, guiding them so they can sustain in their success rather than look back and say what I have done. So if I can even add some value to that kind of next generation leaders, I believe that would be the right way I can use all my learnings over the years and contribute for the next generation.
Oh, absolutely, Sreedhar. In fact, I can vouch for it. In fact, even within my limited interactions for this before this interview as well, you've always one such person, go-to person, inspirational, right? In terms of giving a very pointed advice or guidance in terms of what needs to be done. And I see no reason how any startup company or anyone who are kind of going through a few challenges need a bit of inputs in terms of how do you go about in terms of the technology advancements or how it delivers the business impacts.
Sorry to interrupt you. I think it's again something which I feel very happy and proud. I do interact with a lot of startup CEOs and startup founders who want to come and speak to me for many reasons. So whenever I tell them another 2 years, they say, when is that 2 years coming, sir? Let me know. Again, I can see there is a lot of need for people who have seen the world across the continents to hold their hands and guide them. So hopefully, I think, I wish and pray I can contribute to that also next.
No, thank you, Sreedhar. And I really I really am thankful for your time today. I know it's a lot of lot of time you've taken from your calendar to talk to us. Your insights in terms of dealing with change, or in terms of leadership, or giving some insights in terms of aspiring leaders, what you need to look at from a leadership perspective by embracing challenges as an opportunities. But all these insights are gold mine. And thank you for your openness and transparency. Really appreciate. Thank you.
Thank you, Kiran, for having me again. I repeat, all this, what I have shared with you, is in my personal capacity, and definitely I have a lot to owe to all my mentors, my guides, my leaders, whom I have worked for the last 30 years across the continents, and without saying, but for them, I'm not what I am today. Thank you to all of them also, and thank you for you for extracting some from me, and hope this can help the next generation leaders to learn something out of it and take it forward in their day-to-day. Thank you.
Thank you, Sreedhar.